Imagine flying halfway across the world, excited to rekindle a business partnership that once showed promise. You land in the bustling heart of New York City, unaware that you're about to step into a luxurious townhouse that would become your prison, your torture chamber, and your nightmare. This isn't a thriller novel. It's the real-life story of Michael Valentino Teofrasto Carturan, a 28-year-old Italian crypto investor who thought he was flying into an opportunity, only to be greeted by betrayal, violence, and a chilling conspiracy to steal millions in digital currency. Let's rewind the clock. It all began in early May 2025. Michael Carturan, a well-known figure in Italy's crypto community, received a message from a former business associate, John Weltz, an American entrepreneur with a shady background and a flair for the extravagant. John invited Michael to New York to discuss a potential partnership involving crypto investments. On paper, it sounded like a golden opportunity. In reality, it was a trap. Michael landed in New York on May 6th. The meeting was set at a posh, five-story townhouse in SoHo, one of Manhattan's most exclusive neighborhoods. What he didn't know was that this townhouse would soon become the epicenter of one of the most shocking criminal cases in the crypto world. Inside that house, waiting for him, wasn't just John Weltz. There was also Beatrice Folchi, a 24-year-old assistant with a polished background, graduate of the University of Connecticut, aspiring actress, and marketer for high-end brands like Rolls-Royce and Bentley. But behind her elegant smile and social media glamour lay a connection to something far more sinister. Michael was barely in the house before things turned violent. He was attacked, restrained, and locked away. For the next 17 days, he was subjected to a brutal and calculated campaign of torture designed to break him both physically and mentally. Why? Because locked away in his mind and his digital wallet was the key to a cryptocurrency fortune, $28 million worth of Bitcoin and other assets. The attackers wanted the passwords, and they were willing to do anything to get them. According to sources close to the investigation, Michael endured electric shocks, was beaten, had drugs forcibly administered to him, and at one point was even suspended from a staircase inside the townhouse. It was psychological warfare at its most extreme, all within the walls of a townhouse that looked like something out of a luxury magazine. While the public was oblivious, the scene inside that house was a living hell. The conspirators weren't just violent. They were strategic. During Michael's captivity, they sent text messages to his parents in Italy, pretending everything was fine. "Don't worry, Mom," the messages said. "I'm just spending a few days in the city with some friends." The goal was to delay suspicion, to buy more time to break their victim and extract the crypto keys. Meanwhile, Beatrice Folchi was seen moving in and out of the townhouse. Neighbors said she was calm, composed, even cheerful. It was the behavior of someone who either didn't know what was happening or someone who had become desensitized to it. Who exactly is Beatrice Folchi? That's a question that would soon captivate the media. Tall, blonde, and media-savvy, Folchi had cultivated the image of a young professional with dreams of fame. She had a modest social media following, acted in a few low-budget productions, and promoted luxury goods. But according to prosecutors, she was also closely tied to Weltzer's operations and might have played a key role in facilitating the kidnapping. Still, there was ambiguity. When police finally got involved, they didn't immediately charge her. In fact, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office chose to delay her prosecution, citing the need for further investigation. Was she a mastermind, an accomplice, or just another pawn? The real break in the case didn't come from police work. It came from Michael himself. On May 23rd, 17 days after he was taken, Michael finally saw a sliver of hope. He tricked his captors, telling them he needed his laptop to access his crypto wallet. They agreed and stepped out of the room to retrieve it. In those fleeting seconds, Michael bolted, barefoot, bleeding, and disoriented, down the stairs, out the front door, and onto the street. A traffic cop spotted him, shocked, confused, and clearly in distress. Michael managed to explain that he had been kidnapped, tortured, and held for weeks. Within hours, the SoHo townhouse was surrounded. Authorities rushed in and began piecing together what had taken place inside. The media exploded with headlines. Crypto investor escapes torture house in SoHo. News vans lined the block. Questions flew faster than answers. Who were the people behind this? How did it go undetected for so long? And most chillingly, how many more victims were there? As details emerged, the scope of the operation became clearer. This wasn't just a case of a kidnapping gone wrong. This was organized, targeted, and ruthlessly executed. Prosecutors quickly filed charges against John Woltz and another suspect, William Duplessis, who was later indicted by a grand jury. Both men are currently in custody, awaiting trial. And Beatrice Folchi? She's out, for now. The investigation is ongoing. Her name remains in headlines. And the question everyone keeps asking is, what exactly was her role? Was she coerced? Was she complicit? Or was she quietly orchestrating the entire operation under the cover of charm and innocence? In the world of cryptocurrency, fortunes can be won and lost with a few keystrokes. But as this case shows, the real danger often isn't online. It's the people you think you trust. And sometimes, they're the ones with the biggest smiles. The townhouse on Broome Street had returned to silence. The bloodstains were cleaned up, the curtains drawn back, and the world outside went on as usual. But the damage had been done. Beneath the elegant veneer of SoHo living, a sinister scheme had unraveled, and at its center stood a woman no one expected, Beatrice Folchi. In the days following Michael Carturan's dramatic escape, media outlets across the US and Europe scrambled to uncover who she really was. Headlines went from cautious mentions, assistant linked to crypto kidnapping, to full-blown tabloid obsessions. The beautiful accomplice, one Italian newspaper called her, crypto queenpin or innocent starlet, asked another. So who is she? Beatrice Folchi, born in Italy, grew up in Connecticut and attended the University of Connecticut, where she earned degrees in communication and philosophy. Smart, articulate, and well-spoken, she impressed professors and classmates alike. After graduation, she moved to New York City and stepped into the world of luxury marketing. She worked with brands like Rolls-Royce and Bentley, helped plan exclusive events, and built an image of poise and professionalism. But she had other ambitions: acting. Her social media profiles showed glamorous headshots, film festival hashtags, and behind-the-scenes selfies. She appeared in minor roles, mostly indie films and online commercials. She wasn't famous, but she was building toward something. At least, that's what it looked like. That's also when she crossed paths with John Weltz. Weltz, a man in his early 40s, operated in the gray zones of cryptocurrency. He had money, at least on paper. He lived in high-rises, wore designer suits, and hosted private events where champagne flowed and luxury cars lined the streets. But beneath the surface, his finances were murky, his business records full of red flags. Some called him a genius, others a fraud. Folchi became his assistant. Some say she was just that, an employee with no knowledge of the darker side of Weltz's dealings. Others claim she was much more: his confidant, his lover, perhaps even his co-conspirator. In the days after the kidnapping came to light, investigators poured through text messages, security footage, and digital transactions. One of the biggest questions was this: how much did Beatrice Folchi know? Neighbors had seen her coming and going from the townhouse while Michael was being held captive inside. Some claimed they heard nothing. Others said they saw her walk into the building with grocery bags and leave hours later. Her demeanor? Calm, collected, unbothered. It was chilling. Detectives confronted her with these observations. Her answer was simple: she didn't know. She believed Michael was a guest. That's what Weltz told her. She had no reason to doubt him. But prosecutors weren't entirely convinced. They charged her with first-degree kidnapping and unlawful imprisonment. These weren't minor accusations. In New York, first-degree kidnapping carries a potential life sentence. But then, Just as the case seemed to be gaining steam, something strange happened. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office announced it would postpone formal prosecution. They needed more time, more evidence. They wanted to be absolutely sure before moving forward. So for now, Beatrice is not behind bars. She's free, walking the streets of New York under the scrutiny of a media storm. Her lawyers maintain her innocence. Her family in Connecticut is silent. But the court of public opinion is anything but quiet. Some say she's the modern-day Mata Hari, a woman who weaponized beauty and charm to manipulate and destroy. Others argue she's being used as a scapegoat, a convenient distraction from the real masterminds behind the crime. And while all of this unfolds, Michael Carturan is recovering. His body is healing, but the trauma runs deeper. In interviews with Italian media, his family described him as shaken, angry, and deeply betrayed. His parents are furious, both at the attackers and at the American justice system for not locking everyone up immediately. What makes this case even more complex is the role of cryptocurrency. Digital currency, once hailed as the future of finance, has now become the target of thieves, extortionists, and even violent criminals. Unlike bank accounts, crypto wallets don't require a physical break-in, but they do require passwords, seed phrases, and access keys. And when someone holds millions in Bitcoin, they become a walking vault, a target. The Carturan case highlights just how dangerous that can be. It also sheds light on a new kind of crime, one that blends technology with brute force, a digital crime with very physical consequences. The criminals didn't hack a server or use malware. They used fear, pain, and isolation to get what they wanted. It was crypto extortion, 21st century style. As the story gained traction, people online began asking, how many other Michael Carturans are out there? How many investors are walking into traps right now? How many criminals are watching crypto wallets like wolves circling prey? And perhaps the darkest question of all, how close are the criminals to their victims? Could your friend, your assistant, your business partner be plotting your downfall? This case reminds us that trust is the ultimate currency. And when that's broken, especially in a world as volatile as cryptocurrency, there are no safe havens. The trial of John Woltz and William Duplessis is still pending. Their attorneys argue that the story is one-sided and overblown. They claim Michael Carturan is exaggerating, but the evidence, both physical and digital, paints a different picture. The townhouse, once quiet and prestigious, is now a crime scene. The crypto community is rattled, and Beatrice Folchi, she remains a mystery, a name without a verdict, a face without a final story. But that may change soon. As the dust settles on what has now been dubbed the SoHo crypto kidnapping, the world is left with more questions than answers. The townhouse on Broome Street has become a landmark for all the wrong reasons. Curious onlookers stop to take photos. News trucks still circle. And for those involved, life has taken on a haunting new reality. Michael Carturan, once a rising star in the European crypto world, is trying to rebuild. But you can't bounce back quickly from 17 days of torture. In his own words, he describes those weeks as a descent into hell. He has spoken to media outlets only once since the incident, telling an Italian newspaper, "They broke my body, but not my will. I survived because I knew that dying in that house meant they would win." His survival was nothing short of a miracle. Every part of the scheme had been carefully orchestrated to extract the crypto fortune he carried in his digital wallet, nearly $28 million worth of digital assets. The brutal irony? He never gave them access, not once. Despite the electric shocks, the saw blade threats, the drugging, the beatings, he never gave up the seed phrases. That, perhaps, is the single act of defiance that saved his life. The attackers were left frustrated. Their elaborate plan, which took months to construct, ultimately collapsed under its own arrogance. They underestimated their victim. They overestimated their ability to cover their tracks. And now they're paying for it. John Woltz, the man behind the invitation, sits in custody, facing multiple felony charges, including first-degree kidnapping, assault, conspiracy, and criminal possession of weapons. His legal team claims he was duped by others and had no knowledge of the abuse. But investigators say otherwise. They've collected security footage, DNA evidence, and damning messages sent from Woltz's phone that tell a much darker story. Then there's William Duplessis, the second major suspect. He was indicted by a Manhattan grand jury and is awaiting trial. Prosecutors allege that Duplessis was the enforcer, the one who physically restrained Michael, the one who administered drugs and inflicted pain. His role, they say, was hands-on and sadistic. The public demands justice, and yet there's one key figure still walking free. Beatrice Folchi, the woman who lived in the middle of it all, who may or may not have known what was going on upstairs in that townhouse. The woman who smiled in designer dresses on Instagram while a man was being tortured behind her. She has not been cleared of wrongdoing, but she also hasn't been convicted. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office says her case remains under active investigation. Whether that means they're working to build a stronger case or quietly preparing to walk away, no one knows. But her presence in this story lingers like smoke. What makes Beatrice's involvement so chilling is the uncertainty. She could be anything, an innocent caught in a web of deceit, or the spider herself, weaving the strands from behind the scenes. Some investigators speculate that she may have been used to lure Michael Carturan into a false sense of safety, that her polished appearance, her charm, her familiarity with luxury made her the perfect bait. Others suggest she was completely unaware, merely renting a room and showing up to do clerical tasks. The truth likely lies somewhere in between. She may not have swung the punches, but did she hear the screams? Did she notice the blood? Did she ever question why the guest upstairs never came down for days? These are the uncomfortable questions that remain unanswered. And while the legal process crawls forward, the wider crypto world has taken notice. This case has sparked a firestorm of concern across online forums, investor groups, and cybersecurity circles. Wealth in cryptocurrency isn't protected by banks or vaults. It lives in digital wallets, secured only by phrases and passwords. If someone gets to you, they get your money. That reality has forced crypto millionaires to rethink their lifestyles. Some have hired private security, others have gone into hiding. A few have even converted their digital assets back into cash and quietly disappeared. Because when the risk isn't a market crash, but a kidnapping in SoHo, the stakes change. Law enforcement agencies, too, are waking up to this new frontier. The NYPD, in collaboration with federal cybercrime units, has begun reevaluating how they handle crypto-related violence. It's no longer about fraud and phishing emails. It's about blood on the floor, and they're scrambling to keep up. Michael Carturan's ordeal will likely become a case study, a warning that in a world where value floats on the blockchain, people will do anything to seize control of it. And while he may have survived, not everyone will be so lucky. As for Beatrice Folchi, her story remains unwritten. She has declined all interview requests. Her attorneys insist she is innocent, but she's no longer the unknown assistant behind a crypto boss. She's a central character in one of the most disturbing digital age crimes the city has seen. Whether she walks free forever or one day faces trial, her name is now tied to something far larger than she ever imagined. A townhouse in SoHo, a man from Italy, a fortune in Bitcoin, and a descent into cruelty, betrayal, and survival. This isn't just a crime story. It's a glimpse into the new age of power, a world where your worth isn't measured by your bank account, but by the string of numbers you keep hidden in your head, and someone, somewhere, may be willing to kill for it. If this story shocked you, disturbed you, or opened your eyes to a darker side of crypto, let us know in the comments below. What do you think Beatrice Folchi's real role was? Innocent assistant or silent conspirator? Hit the like button if you want more true crime cases that expose the secrets behind luxury and lies. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next story may be even more chilling.